Hello everyone!
Hello everyone!
This is our secondary channel. Many of you asked us to tell more stories, share more moments.
And explore the parts of our journey that don't always fit on the main channel. So here we are.
We'll be posting the stories you've requested and the episodes you've been waiting for. Please subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss anything. Your support means the world to us. Thank you for watching, and thank you for being part of our story. The next morning, the house felt heavier, as if the walls themselves had heard the numbers on the contract and were now leaning inward. Diep woke before the alarm. For a moment, she lay still, listening. The quiet was wrong. On good days, mornings in their house were noisy. Nee chattering about some dream she'd had, spoons clinking against bowls, James humming tunelessly as he hunted for his keys. Today, only the low rumble of a distant motorbike and the call of a rooster drifted in from outside. Diep sat up slowly. The space beside her on the mat was empty. James hadn't come home at all. She closed her eyes briefly, then stood, wrapped her hair into a quick knot, and stepped out into the cool air. The kitchen smelled faintly of last night's tea and the sweet potato cakes she'd made for Nye. On the table, a small crumpled napkin held the ghost of crumbs. Nye was still asleep on the second mat, one arm flung wide, her soft breathing steady. Tucked beside her pillow was a drawing, a quick sketch she'd made before bed, half finished because she'd fallen asleep mid-colouring. Diep picked it up carefully. 3 figures holding hands in front of a house. Nye in the middle, labelled in shaky letters. On one side, Tu Diep. On the other, Tu James. Above them, a big sun with long rays and a crooked smile. Her throat tightened. She smoothed the paper and set it gently back. "Okay," she whispered to the empty room. "One thing at a time." She washed her face, tied her apron, and started breakfast. The simple motions, lighting the stove, cracking eggs, slicing bread, steadied her hands. The house began to smell like the morning again, even if the air around her heart still felt sharp. By the time Nye woke, rubbing her eyes and stumbling toward the table, the food was ready. "Morning, Co," the girl mumbled, voice thick with sleep. "Where's Tu James?" Diep hesitated only for a breath. "He had to stay at the office last night," she said gently. "There's a lot of work." Nye frowned. "Because of the trees?" "Yes." Diep placed a small plate in front of her. "But we're working on it. Eat first, okay?" Nee yawned, then nodded and began to eat. Small bites, legs swinging under the chair. Diep watched her for a moment, then stepped aside and picked up her phone. James didn't answer on the first call, or the second. On the third, he picked up. "Yeah?" His voice was rough, as if it had been dragged across gravel. "Where are you?" she asked. A pause. "Office," he said. "Or what's left of it. Did you sleep at all? Does it matter?" She closed her eyes briefly. "Come home for breakfast. At least see Nye. She's asking for you." Another pause. She could almost hear him weighing his own exhaustion against the soft weight of the little girl's expectation. "I'll try," he said eventually, and hung up before she could respond. He arrived just as Nee was finishing her second piece of bread. The front door opened with a soft creak. James stepped in, still wearing yesterday's clothes. His shirt was wrinkled, his hair a mess, and there were faint shadows under his eyes that hadn't been there a week ago. "Tu James!" Nee squealed, sliding off the chair and racing toward him. He barely had time to straighten before she threw herself at him, arms wrapping tightly around his waist. The force made him stumble a half step backward, but then his arms came up automatically, holding her. "Hey, little star," he murmured, his voice softening for the first time that morning. "You're up early?" "It's not early," she protested. "It's breakfast time. You missed sleeping next to us. I left you some blanket." "You did?" He forced a smile. "I'll have to borrow it tonight then." She leaned back and studied his face. "You look tired." "Thanks," he said weakly. "Just what every man wants to hear." Diep stepped closer. "Sit," she told him. "Eat something before you fall over." He obeyed because he didn't have the energy to argue. He sat at the table, picked up the bread, and stared at it for a few seconds before taking a small bite. The food tasted like cardboard, but he forced himself to chew. Nye climbed onto the chair beside him. "Ko told me the trees are sick," she said quietly. "Are they going to get better?" James swallowed, the piece of bread catching in his throat. "We're trying," he said after a moment. "Some of them might. Some of them won't." "And the big store?" she asked. "The one you and Ko were happy about. Are they still going to buy our oranges?" Diep shot her a quick look, but Nii had never been good at tiptoeing around pain. She asked what she wanted to know. James stared at his plate. "I don't know," he admitted. "We made a promise we couldn't keep. When that happens, people..." He searched for a word that wouldn't sound like a hammer. "People get upset." Nye was quiet for a moment. Then she reached out, took his hand, and placed it on her head. "It's okay," she said matter-of-factly. "If they don't want our oranges, we can sell them to someone else. Or we can make juice, or jam, or candy. Or we can eat them all ourselves and have orange faces." Despite everything, a weak chuckle escaped him. "You think it's that simple?" he asked softly. She nodded, serious. "As long as we're together, it's simple." He looked over at Diep. Something in his chest cracked. He squeezed Nii's small hand. "I'll try to remember that," he said. Later that day, after dropping Nye at school and discussing with the teacher whether tuition could be delayed just a little, if needed, Diep and James returned to the office. It felt smaller now. The DJ sign on the front wall, once a proud symbol, seemed almost mocking. Papers were stacked everywhere. Reports, contracts, urgent notices that all said the same thing in different ways. "You owe us. You failed us. Pay us." They met with their lawyer again. "We've managed to negotiate a reduction in the penalty," he said, tapping the contract with a finger. "It's still a lot, but less than the original clause." "How much less?" James asked, though he already knew the answer wouldn't be enough. The lawyer named a new number. It was smaller, but still monstrous. A number you didn't just find lying around unless you were already rich. A number that meant years of carrying a debt like a stone strapped to their backs. "We can offer to pay in installments," the lawyer suggested, "and you can try to rebuild slowly. But I must be honest, your credit is damaged now. Other buyers will hear about this. They will hesitate to sign anything big with you for a while." "How long is a while?" James asked. "That depends," the lawyer replied. "On how you respond now, on whether you survive." The word survive hung in the air. After the lawyer left, the silence in the office was thick. James stared at the wall, jaw tight. "We could sell the truck," he said dully. "And the small cold storage unit. That might cover part of the first installment." "And then we deliver with what?" Diep asked quietly. "My bicycle?" He exhaled sharply. "We shut down. That's what we do. We accept that it's over. We stop digging a deeper hole." "No," she said. He turned to her, incredulous. "No? Diep, look at these papers. Look at the orchard." "I have," she said. For days. I know exactly how bad it is. But shutting down doesn't make the debt disappear. It just makes sure we never pay it off. At least if we keep moving, there's a chance. A chance of what? He snapped. Of killing ourselves slowly instead of quickly. She didn't flinch. A chance, she repeated, of rebuilding something. Maybe not the same, maybe smaller, maybe different, but something. James looked away, his hands curling into fists. All my life, he said slowly. My father told me I was nothing without him, that his protection was the only reason I could stand so high. When he threw me out of the company, I said, "Fine," and walked away. I thought I was proving something, that I could do it on my own. He laughed once, a harsh sound. And now? Look at me. I can't even keep a hillside of oranges alive. I can't keep one contract. Maybe he was right. Diep stepped closer. Don't you dare give him that satisfaction, she said quietly. He blinked. What? She met his eyes. You didn't fail because you were incompetent, she said. You didn't fail because you were lazy or careless. You failed because someone attacked what you built. Someone used power and money and knowledge of the system to crush us when we were just starting to stand. He frowned. You mean competitors? Or... She paused. The truth rose like bile at the back of her throat. Your father. I think your father did this. But again, she swallowed it. I don't know who yet, she said instead. But I know this wasn't random. And I know that giving up now is exactly what that person wanted. He stared at her, searching her face for something. Certainty, maybe. Or a lie. Whatever he saw there made his shoulders sag. I'm so tired. Diep, he whispered. I don't know if I have another beginning in me. She reached out and gently took his hand, uncurling his fingers one by one. Then let me carry the beginning for a while, she said. You can be tired. You can break a little. I'll hold this up until you're ready to hold it with me again. He swallowed hard. Is that allowed? He asked, voice cracking. Am I allowed to be the weak one now? You're not weak, she answered. You're human. And yes, it's allowed. Something inside him gave way. He bowed his head, and without meaning to, a sob escaped him. One, then another, until he was trying to muffle them with the back of his hand, and failing. Diep stepped closer and wrapped her arms around him. For a moment, he resisted, too proud even in his collapse. Then he leaned into her. His forehead pressed to her shoulder, fingers clutching at the back of her shirt, as if she were the only solid thing left. She held him. The office around them, papers, debts, broken dreams, did not disappear. But in that small circle, there was a different kind of truth. Two people who had chosen each other once, choosing each other again, in the ruins. Over the next week, DJ began to shrink, and, strangely, to change shape. They sold the small cold storage unit. They sold a second-hand tractor that had always broken down at the worst possible times. They renegotiated with suppliers, begged for time, offered to pay late with interest. Some said yes, some hung up. Some lectured them about risk management, their words sharp and useless. They laid off a few workers, the hardest conversations of Diep's life. She cried afterward. Alone behind the warehouse, not because they shouted or blamed her, most didn't, but because she knew what losing a job meant in a place where opportunities were few. In the evenings, James handled calls with the supermarket's finance department, working out a payment schedule that wouldn't crush them entirely. The representative, to his surprise, showed a sliver of reluctant respect. You're still trying, he said during one call. Most small suppliers in your position would have disappeared by now. I don't know how to disappear, James replied. I only know how to apologize and keep moving. The man sighed. Then move wisely. Don't promise us anything new until you can actually deliver. We may consider working with you again in the future. Smaller scale, different products. If you stay honest now. Smaller scale, different products. The words stuck in James's mind. He repeated them to Diep that night as they sat on overturned crates outside the warehouse, watching the last light fade behind the ruined hill. What if we stop thinking only about fresh oranges? He said. What if we can't depend on a single harvest anymore? If someone can kill our trees in one night, they can kill them again. But they can't kill every small farmer around us. Not easily. Diep listened. Go on, she said. We've seen the quality of fruit other farmers grow, he said. Some of it is good. Some of it could be excellent if they had better methods. What if DJ becomes less about our orchard and more about a network? We buy from them, help them improve, control quality as best we can, and use our name to sell a mix of products. Fresh fruit when we can. Processed products when we can't. Jam, she murmured, remembering Nai's words. Juice, dried fruit, small packages that last longer than a week. He nodded. We can't fill a supermarket's nationwide shelves right now. But maybe we can supply a few specialty stores, online orders, cafes, little by little. Enough to keep moving, enough to pay the debt, even if it takes years. She considered this, turning the idea over in her mind like a stone in her hand. It means swallowing our pride, she said slowly. We won't be the orchard couple with the big contract anymore. We'll be something messier. We already are something messier, he replied. Maybe it's time we admit it and build for the mess, not for the dream of perfection. She smiled, small but real. I like messy, she said. It feels honest? They sat in silence for a while, listening to the faint sounds of the village settling in for the night. Diep, he said quietly. If my father hadn't... He stopped, frowning. Sometimes I wonder if all of this is a punishment for me, for thinking I could just walk away from his world and build my own. She turned to him, startled. Don't talk like that, she said sharply. He lifted his hands defensively. I know it sounds stupid. I just keep hearing his voice. You'll come back when you've failed. Then don't fail, she replied simply. He huffed. It's a bit late for that. Failing isn't falling, she said. Failing is not getting up. He looked at her for a long time. You always have an answer, don't you? He asked. No, she said. I just refuse to let his voice be louder than ours. Her heart hammered as she said it, because in her pocket, folded neatly, was still the invoice, the one that whispered another possibility, that his voice wasn't just loud, it had claws. Diep didn't go to confront James's father immediately. She told herself it was because they had too much to do, because every hour had to be spent on renegotiating, planning, rebuilding, because it was pointless. What proof did she really have? A shady invoice, a fake company name, a phone call with a man who claimed ignorance. It was all smoke, no fire she could carry into a room and slam down on a table. But if she was honest, there was another reason. She was afraid, not of him, though his money, his influence, his cold eyes unsettled her, but of what the confrontation might do to James. To whatever fragile thing they were stitching back together. If she was wrong, she would have accused his father of a crime out of suspicion and resentment. If she was right, She would force James to choose between the man who raised him and the woman he loved, not in theory as before, but in raw, undeniable reality. She wasn't ready to demand that of him. Not yet. So she carried the knowledge like a stone in her shoe, small enough to keep walking, sharp enough to never forget. Days turned into weeks. The orchard on the hill remained mostly silent, a graveyard of trees that had once swayed with life. They cleared only what they had to, leaving some rows untouched, sick trunks standing like skeletons against the sky. It hurt to look at them, but it also hurt to cut them all down at once. Instead, they focused on what they could still do. Diep visited neighboring farms, hat pushed low against the sun, notebook in hand. She listened to older farmers complain about prices, about middlemen, about how no one paid fairly for quality anymore. She offered something different. "We don't have much money," she admitted, "but we have contacts. We know what buyers are asking for. If you're willing to work with us, not as bosses but as partners, we can try to build something together. You keep your land. We help with techniques, sorting, packaging. We share the risk." Some shook their heads, calling her naive. Some listened. A few, just enough to matter, agreed to try. Meanwhile, James turned into a one-man sales department. He visited cafes, small grocery shops, online influencers who liked to highlight local products. He brought samples in battered boxes, sometimes with Knee's hand-drawn labels stuck on crooked. "This is DJ," he would say, a little shy. "We're not a big company. We're a recovering one." People chuckled at that. Some turned him away politely. Others took his products on consignment, just to see if anyone buys them. Slowly, a trickle began. One cafe loved their orange marmalade and ordered more. A small hotel added DJ's dried fruit to their welcome baskets. An online review mentioned a tiny brand with a big heart. And a few more orders came in through a simple social media page Nyai helped decorate with stickers and emojis. It wasn't enough to erase the debt, but it was enough to prove one thing. DJ wasn't dead. It had changed shape, yes. It had shrunk, bent, adapted. But beneath all the scars, something stubborn still grew. One evening, months after the day the trees died, Diep stood on the hill again. The sky was painted in streaks of orange and pink, the kind of sunset that made everything look softer, kinder, even the rows of dead trunks. Beside her, James held a small sapling. Its roots were wrapped in damp cloth. Its leaves were few but bright, defiantly green against the bleak background. "Feels almost cruel," he said quietly, "planting just one." "It's not just one," she replied. "It's the first one." He knelt and began to dig. The soil was still poisoned in places, but they had tested this patch, treated it, waited. It was as ready as it would ever be. He dug carefully, then set the sapling in, covering its fragile roots with earth. His hands shook slightly as he patted the soil down, as if he were tucking a child into bed. Diep crouched beside him and pressed her palm flat against the ground. "We planted our first oranges when no one believed in us," she said. "Not your father, not my neighbors, no one. We didn't know what we were doing, but we planted anyway." "And look how that turned out," he said dryly. "Look how we turned out," she corrected. "We're still here." He looked at her, then at the tiny tree. "We lost so much," he murmured. "The orchard, the contract, our reputation. Sometimes it feels like we lost everything." "You didn't lose me," she said. The words were simple, but they hit him like a shock. He swallowed, eyes shining in the fading light. "No," he said. "I didn't." For a few seconds, they just stayed like that. Two people and a sapling, the sky slowly darkening around them. "Do you ever think about going back?" he asked suddenly. She blinked. "Back where?" "To before all this," he said. "To the market stall, to selling a few crates a day and not worrying about contracts and penalties and sabotage. It was simpler then." She smiled softly. "Sometimes," she admitted. "But then I remember something." "What?" "We're not the same people we were back then," she said. "We can't fit in that life anymore. We've seen too much, lost too much, gained too much. Even if we went back, it wouldn't be the same." He sighed. "So we keep going forward?" "Yes," she said. "We keep going forward." The wind picked up slightly, rustling the sapling's few leaves. It swayed, fragile but unbroken. "Diep?" he said, hesitating. "Thank you," he said quietly. "For not leaving? For not punishing me for dragging you into this?" She shook her head. "You didn't drag me anywhere," she said. "I walked in. I chose this. I chose you. And I will keep choosing you, as long as you're willing to keep choosing us." He reached out and took her hand, their fingers intertwining over the freshly planted tree. "I am," he said. "Even when I'm tired, even when I'm scared, I am." She squeezed his hand. She didn't say, "Even if your father is the one trying to destroy us." She didn't say, "Even if one day you might have to choose between facing what he's done and pretending it was just bad luck." Those truths sat quietly in the space between their joined hands, unspoken but alive. Later that night, when James had gone home to help Nye with her homework and argue gently about bedtime, Diep found herself riding a motorbike toward the city. The decision had come without warning. One moment, she had been washing dishes, listening to the radio drone about market prices. The next, she had dried her hands, picked up her bag, and told James she needed to check something with a supplier in town. It wasn't a complete lie. Her real destination, however, was a tall building of glass and steel. She parked across the street and stared up at it, the lights on the higher floors glowing like distant stars. Somewhere up there, behind tinted windows and polished desks, was James's father. The man she suspected had reached into their world and poisoned it. She stood there for a long time, helmet in hand, heart pounding. She could walk in, ask to see him, tell him she knew, or at least believed, that he was behind the sabotage. Ask him why, beg him to stop, threaten to expose him, even if she had no clear idea how. But every scenario she imagined ended the same way. With James caught between them, his world split more violently than ever before. Finally, she exhaled, shoulders sagging. "Not yet," she thought. "I'm not ready. We're not ready." She put her helmet back on and climbed onto the bike. As she rode away, the building shrank in her mirrors, then disappeared. But the knowledge did not. It lived in her now, a quiet, watchful thing. One day, sooner or later, the truth would not be something she could carry alone anymore. One day, either by her choice or by some cruel accident, James would learn what she suspected. And when that day came, DJ would face a different kind of storm, one no contract, no fertilizer, no clever plan could truly prepare them for. Until then, there was work to do, debts to pay, farmers to visit, orders to fill, a little girl to tuck into bed, a small sapling on a wounded hill to water and protect. They had lost almost everything once, but as Diep rode home under the stars, wind cool against her face, one thought kept her steady. They still had each other. they still had the courage to begin again. And sometimes, in a world where power could poison roots in the dark, that stubborn, quiet courage was the strongest antidote of all.